All right, good morning. Good morning. It's early morning here and I feel like writing some code today. I woke up early and I actually already did like some totally non-code related things this morning. I'm reviewing. I have it here actually. I'm reviewing the script for my book, but that's something entirely different. Hey, good morning, Samuel. Glad you're here. I have to over there. I have to share the link on the socials. That's the first thing we have to do this morning. Good morning. Let's code. Something like that. It's all fine. Yes. Social media. And over here. Cool. That's that. Oh, and Discord, of course. Let's do some live morning. Ooh. Like so. All right. So, by the way, we just crossed like the 200 members member count of the on the Tempest Discord, which is pretty nice. 200. That's already significant. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. Let's see here. What did I want to do today? Actually, I wanna write some code, some Tempest issues, tackling some Tempest issues. That's the plan today. I have a plan. Although I might have forgotten the plan already. I made some notes somewhere. Let me actually check here. Yes. Good. Good morning, Sergio. Glad you're here. So, with all the socials... Oh, I have a notification. Nothing important. With all the socials out of the way, let's quickly discuss what I wanted to start with today. And that's something like a super simple idea, actually. But I don't know why I didn't think of this before, to be honest. Let me check here for the link. Yeah. So a while ago, I had this issue in Tempest to make configuration files discoverable. And configuration files with the configuration files, I mean files over here. So Tempest uses classes for configuration, which is really nice because you get proper auto-completion on everything that's configurable. But in order to actually instantiate a configuration file, you have to have like this kind of PHP file, and it should just return an instance of the config object. And the framework provides like the defaults, but on project level you can override them by just placing a PHP file in the config folder, and then Tempest will just register it for you with your custom configuration. A good example here is database. Let's see here, MySQL, for example, or this one. Let's say you wanna. Well, this is actually the default one, but let's say you wanna use a MySQL connection instead of SQLite. Then you just add this kind of file to your project in the config directory, and you're done basically. And like over here you can provide the host, and this is what I mean with auto completion, right? You get like all available properties here, and that's pretty nice. It's much simpler, I find, than just having to return an array as what happens in Laravel, for example. So yeah, good morning on Twitch, folks, as well. Undefined, Undefno, you're here. that's nice. And Adrian, you're here as well. Early. I'm working since 6. Well, I'm working since 5:30 this morning actually. So, like I mentioned that like a couple minutes ago, but I decided to print out the script for my book. Ooh, where's my camera? And now I'm going through it, and I'm making like yeah, you can't see the lighting is really bad, but I'm making like notes, and it's like the final review, and then I'm gonna publish it on Amazon, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for that, but that's not programming related, right? But yeah, that's how I spend my morning. I was just like reviewing my own work, and I just had a beta reader actually finish a full read through, which like with lots of great feedback, and now I'm ready to almost publish it. So that's pretty exciting actually. But let's go back to config files. The thing with config files is that let's see here, container and config. Let's read here. As mentioned, configuration is represented by objects. Tempest provides many configuration classes for you, although the framework is decided to use them as little as possible. True. Well, I wrote this, so it's true. Whenever you need fine-grained control over the framework's config, you can create a here's the thing. You can create a config folder in your main project folder. And this is the thing I want to change. So the thing with these config files is that they aren't classes. So Composer doesn't know about them. There's no auto-loading. They aren't namespaced. They just are plain PHP files. So because they aren't like known by Composer, we cannot easily discover them. Now we have discovery in place for just all kinds of files. But if you want to discover these kinds of files, you actually have to truly execute the PHP file and check whether the return value here is a config object. And like that's a really bad idea, because it would mean that discovery would execute all PHP files. That's like totally insane. There's also a huge performance impact. So there were a couple of alternatives if we're talking about making config discoverable. How we should do that. One option was to kind of step away from these kinds of files and have, let me write it down here, like have some kind of class, project database config implements config provider or something like that. And then it would have a method, something like get config, and that would return database config. And then over here, you would return new database config with like new SQLite connection, something like that. Let's, let's clean that up a little bit. I'm in a Scratch file, so I'm, go away. Yeah, okay. This is like, I shouldn't have done this in a Scratch file anyway. So something like this, right? And the benefit here is that you wrap your custom config in a class, and then we can discover it just fine. That works all perfectly. But this is kind of verbose, and I don't really like it. It would work. So it is just like an option we considered, but yeah, I'm not entirely happy with it. So I want this, but there's no way to properly discover it in a way that makes sense. So the only thing you can do at that point is to rely on naming conventions. And the naming convention we settled on is that all PHP files in the config folder within the main project folder are considered config files, right? So if we go to config discovery, no, there is no config discovery. It's load.config over here. So yeah, that's what's happening here. So we loop over all discovery locations, if you're not aware, let's see here. So Tempest discovery, it will mark some directories as discovery locations, and it determines those locations based on composer namespaces. So so these are all the folders that Tempest will scan, and if any of these folders contain a config directory with PHP files, we'll treat those files as PHP, right? That's how it works now. Okay, fair enough. It's like, it's because I don't want to do like this. I don't want to do this. So it's, yeah, I know you have to deal with what's possible here, and we cannot load all PHP files and just assume everything will work. That's insanity. So okay, we rely on a naming convention for a very specific use case. We do the same for Vue components, by the way. So Vue, this happens in discovery a little later in the boot cycle of Tempest. Let's see here, for Vue components, we have anonymous Vue components, right? And if they're these are actually, let me show you .vue.php over here. So these are just HTML files, basically. Like, there's no way that the composer knows about these files. So how do we discover them? Again, the same problem, right? You cannot like try to load everything and just assume it will work. That doesn't work. So for views, we settled on the naming convention as well, that if you want Vue components to be discovered automatically, they have to be named .vue.php. And I think that makes sense. People are used to this in Symfony as well with .twig or twig.html, and for Laravel, blade.php. So, I mean, it makes sense that Vue files get their own extension, and that's all good, right? So we have two naming conventions now. There is like config files need to live in the config directory, and Vue files, Vue components actually, but let's say all Vue files for simplicity, Vue files have to be suffixed with .vue.php. And I was like, yesterday, I suddenly realized like, why do we have two naming conventions, right? This is confusing for people. And actually it made, I started thinking about this because someone asked about it. Someone made a, wanted to make a, let me see here, add a config file rather somewhere in a subdirectory, right? And so it didn't work because it needs to be in like the root namespace for a discovery location. It needs to be config with uppercase, and it needs to be like .php file over here. So that's confusing. And I thought a little bit about it, and I was like, hang on a second. Why don't we just register all files that end with .config.php as config files, and make it so that they don't have to necessarily live in this config directory here anymore. It's a lot more flexible because you can now place config files wherever you want within your I'm just noticing the YouTube chat. There's a little bit of a delay, right? Yogesh is saying, why not config.php? No, that's exactly my thinking as well. It's a little more flexible. You don't have to put them in one specific directory. You're still relying on a naming convention, but it's in line with like another naming convention we already have, .vue.php, and it's more flexible. So win-win, right? And that's what we're going to do. So we had a little discussion about this in Discord, and turns out like everyone agrees. Even Aiden agreed. So that's nice. And we're gonna have to refactor that, and it's gonna be super simple. So we loop over our discovery locations here, and right now we search for a config, like the hard-coded path. And we're going to have to change this line a little bit. And then we're going to have to change all our config files because like the framework config files, the default ones, also rely on this naming convention now. But it's going to be pretty easy to do. So what we need to take into account is recursive directories, right? And I still don't understand why there isn't a better way to do this. But let me steal some code from another place. I think it's discover... now load discovery classes over here. We have to like do this basically, iteratively loop over all files. And the thing with config is that ideally I want config to be discovered by a discovery class, but that's not possible because most discovery classes rely on config already loaded, because discovery classes will manipulate existing config. So you need to load config before you load discovery. So we have a little bit of code duplication here, but it's fine. It's totally fine. I will need to look into caching this properly. But actually, if you have discovery cache enabled, I think, well, no, not entirely. I need to add some caching here because, you know, I want to prevent having to do too many recursive loops over files. So so let's take a note about that, and we'll see how we'll fix that. But let's say we have, well, we loop over all our discovery locations. That's a given. We make a path, recursive directory iterator for it, and then a recursive iterator for all the files in the directory. And then I have to check here, skip dots is flagged here. So basically what we want to do, if string ends with file, get file name and then .config.php. That's basically our check here. And if it's, well, let's say if it doesn't end, we'll continue. And otherwise, we'll say will require file get file name. So we'll require the file, and requiring a file that returns something will actually like return the value into a variable here. And then we register it as a config object within the container, because actually config objects are just objects in the container. But yeah, that should actually be it. Except of course that I need to change all my config files now, because if I let's see, yeah, this fails, and yeah, and like you have to know this, but this error happens when config files are missing, because I'm trying to inject database config here into migration discovery, and well, yeah, it's going to try to use an initializer. Anyway, it's gonna break because there's no config register yet. But that's an easy fix, right? So let's say config. Let's put all of them here, and then let's start refactor them. So and that's like very simple. Over here, I might need to. For this, yeah, okay, hang on a second. First gonna do the framework ones. Oh, and so I'm keeping them in the config directory, but that's not necessary anymore now. Just for convenience, right? And I don't really know a better place to put them, but at least if people want to, they now can. And most importantly, there is consistency now when it comes to naming conventions. And like, ideally, I don't want the framework to force people to do to adhere to a fixed document structure or anything, but there are some places where, yeah, it's necessary, right? Oh, okay, like that. So that's already fixed, and now we need to go to our database.php. Where does that happen? I think in framework integration test. Integration test case. Let's see here. Yeah, database.php. This one should be renamed to .config.php, and then I need to check git ignore. It's in another git ignore, I reckon. Let's see. So fixtures config. Yeah, here's the git ignore. Database.config.php. Let's remove this one and let's see, like, oh, it doesn't work yet. Failed to open stream. Okay. What? Oh, I'm. Of course. Hang on. Hang on. Load config. It's not get file name, but it's get path name. Is it path name? Let's see. Ooh. File. I never know the right. Yeah, path name. Okay, so that works. And let's see whether our tests and all QA stuff still works. I don't expect too many issues here. Maybe with the database testing. Let's see. And then I also have to check our CI setup for let's see, database.php. Yeah. .config.php. .config.php. Okay, how many are there still? Yeah, okay, that's it. Good morning, by the way, Joris in on Twitch as well. Not my colleague Joris, ex-colleague Joris. I remember that. Actually everything's green here. That's pretty nice. Let's create a new branch here. Is this a fix? Chores. Config name file names. Okay. And let's push all of that. Yeah, I would say, yep. Push. That's already good. I'm gonna make a pull request for it. Oh, config. Great. Sure. Rename refactor config naming. Config names. Something like that. Now we do need to think about caching, I would say. Let's take a look. I need to zoom out a little bit. It's too big. Driving me mad here. And we can do that while CI is running. Is CI going to run? I don't know. Maybe GitHub is a little bit slow today. There aren't any like actions running. That's weird, I think. Maybe Aiden changed something. Okay. Let's check here. Reason there are no CI actions booting for this PR. Weird. No, did I? Oh yeah, no, this is right? Yeah? I don't know. Okay. We'll see, we'll have to see what Aiden has to say about it. I just want to make sure it works on Windows as well. It should, right? It should. But anyway. Caching. So load config. Let's see here. So ideally we want to cache all of this. We basically want a list of file names, I would say. So what we could do actually, config files. We can skip this loop entirely. Let's see here. So for each files, otherwise we'll just add file get path name like this. We don't need anything else. And then in a separate loop, we can loop over config files as file, and then a config file as path. And let's rename this to paths. And then we can cache all of this. CI is running now. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, it was just slow. Morning. It's morning for everyone. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Yogesh. So yeah, then we can cache all of this, right? Can I, let's see here, this is resolved. Oh, hang on. Yeah, this is resolved via the container. So I can inject cache over here, like so. And then we can say, so config paths equals this cache resolve with the key config cache, something like that. We'll move all of this into a function. Like so. And we'll return config paths, right, like this. So this config path is yep, and it doesn't need an expiry date, I reckon, because yeah, we'll just keep it until, like, if cache is enabled, of course. And then okay, that should be the caching part. Off topic, any plans for more chapters of your sci-fi novel? Connor is asking. Yeah, I guess you're referring to like the things I published on my blog. Those were that was like only a small. I say small part. It's about half. It's a small novel in total. But no, there's a lot more. But I don't know if you were at the start of the stream, but I showed what I was doing this morning. I'm reviewing the final version of my script, and so it's 12 chapters in total. It's small. It's like a small thing, but and after that, when I'm done with the review, I had a beta reader as well who went through it. Like very good feedback from there. So like I'm fine tuning, and then I'm gonna publish it on Amazon. So that's the plan. So yes, there are more chapters coming, but like you'll have to buy the book. Yeah. But I'll once it's published, I'm gonna publish one more post on my blog as well to let people know. The thing is, I was quiet about it for a month or so because I was waiting for that beta reader, and he had some other things to do first, which was totally fine. I'm super happy that he wanted to do this. Like great feedback, really great feedback. So and yeah, I did rewrite some smaller parts in the chapters that I already published on the blog, like lots of fine tuning as well. But then like I'm excited about it because I know how the story ends, and like it's yeah, really makes me exciting. Anyway, so we have caching in place. Will this work? Let's do composer QA. Okay, let's see. Cannot resolve cache. Yeah, and so this is a problem. The thing is, so we're in kind of a special place right now. We are yeah, that's a problem. So this is all happening during framework boot, right? And the thing is, we haven't discovered any classes yet at this point, which is why like we need something separately for config. But yeah, the issue here is that in order for, well, if you want to inject our cache, we need discovery to be loaded, because our cache initializer here is yeah, so this is the initializer for caching, and it actually relies on config as well, so we cannot use it. We need a special kind of cache specifically for config, which isn't a bad thing. And like, it's pretty easy to do. It's just that, I don't know, it's just, it's one more cache. We already have 4 now. But it might be like the better approach here. So we don't have cache config available. We really need like, so yeah, basically this is, we're very limited here. That's what I want to say. So so yeah, basically, like, we always will need to like rely on a hard-coded cache path, because like there's nothing available when we're trying to cache config, right? If all goes well, then let me remove this actually, and all of that. Oh no, use is cache. Like so. I need this one, and then is enabled. See, and this is also a problem. We don't have we don't have our cache config. Wait. Again, this I can solve this, but let's see. Cache config does it like this. But this is also annoying. Yeah, so it's kind of the chicken and the egg problem, right? We want to load config, but we want to cache our config. But in order to cache our config, we need config. Well, we don't need it. I can hard code it like this, but it's, yeah. Let's try it out first. Let's see whether this works. So this is just a simple cache implementation, hard-coded path over here, and it's always enabled. So let's say config cache in this instance. See whether it works. Yeah, it does. And if we go to our cache over here, then yeah, this is like our array with config paths. And if we cache status now, it doesn't get discovered. No, but that's because, hang on. That's because our cache is true here. Let's make it false. Yeah. So config cache will always be enabled. Let's try to clear it. Cache clear. See what happens over here. That's a bug there, but yeah. So we were able to clear it. That's fine. And if we just cache clear all, then it will be cleared as well. So, but ideally, I want like I want this, right? Config cache. And I can still make that work. That's no problem at all. I can like return env, let's see, and config, well, cache first. If there's no, so cache, global cache equals like this. And good morning from Denmark, Simon. Good morning from Belgium, from my side. Then, and you're asking what I'm working on. I'm working on Tempest. I'm like trying to improve config and config caching a little bit. So that's that. But glad you're here. I hope you had a good morning and. Well, it's 9 already, so I get well, at least for me. But in Denmark, it's the same time. So maybe you start work today, like around this time. So if global cache equals null, if it's not available, then we'll say, why am I doing this in cache pool? Yeah, okay, that should be fine, right? So global cache. So this is like the big, like the turn everything on or off flag. But if it's null, we want to return env config cache with a default of false, right? And then we'll say return global cache. Shoot cache, I think. This is such an annoying bug in PHP Storm. So yeah, and now see this there's a global env function from Laravel, which is a dev dependency. Actually, I should just hang on. Why is this loaded? Hang on. All of this be gone. And then where's Laravel? We need a dev dependency on Laravel because we have blade support, optional blade support. But when you're illuminate, where's it's morning for me as well. The I, Jens, and over here. See, and this is annoying. Oh no, I pressed escape. All of this should be gone. Go away. Apply. Let me do that first, and then illuminate again. Let's go. Come on. Illuminate support. And we want to exclude all of this. Okay. And now I can. It's a bug in PHP Storm. They know about it. They're gonna fix it. But like if there's a global function with the same name as a namespace function, then you cannot import namespace functions again. But still, global functions are bad. I say now because like I totally get the pain now. So okay, now we so if global cache is enabled, we should, if it's true or false, like we should return that. But if it's null, then we should look at config cache and return false. We'll have to update the docs a little bit about this. So cache status. Okay. So let's put this to null. Okay, and then config cache is true, and otherwise it should be false. Yeah, cool. Okay, that works very well. I'm actually going to open the docs here because now we need to add a little bit. Let's make sure everything's up to date. Let's go to the cache chapter. Wow, where's the cache chapter? Hang on, cache. It was caching. Random brain fart. Yogarine on YouTube is saying, I like brain farts. Let's go. Why do we use arrays for config and not just define abstract classes with possible config properties and extend those with final classes that override these properties? Yeah, well, like Tempest is a little bit in between. Configuration are classes, right? As you can see, cache config with type properties, and you get documentation. We decided to make the config classes themselves final because like they're adding something to config is a very rare thing to do, I would say. So, but you're making like a decent point actually. But I'm like, hang on. I don't want to refactor all of this. The reason I went with the like return, let's see, like with this approach is because I don't know why I did this. I don't know. No, so Yogurine is saying you assumed it's an array. It's definitely not. So there's already 1 point for me, I would say. But what if you if you want to expose, but it's just a little bit verbose, right? It's kind of similar to, yeah, I don't know, I don't have the sample anymore here, but kind of similar to what I described at the start of the stream. Like you have to extend from classes. I don't know. For config, it feels a little bit heavyweight to do that, but maybe I'm biased. I have to think about it. But first, I'm going to refactor with what I have now. Let's see here. View cache, and then core config cache. Oh yeah, I also have to, hang on, I have to update my .env.example. Discovery cache, config cache, like this. Yeah. Let's go to Tempest docs. Let's copy this. Oh, config cache. Let's actually open the Tempest docs site here, read the docs, and then let's go to config. No, not config, caching. Caching first, caching over there. It's already class. Why not use the autoloader node? No, we discussed this in at the start of the stream, but that's not possible. If you want to be able to override config in this way, right? This is just a plain PHP file, and Composer doesn't know about it. So if you were to say that if you want to override config, you have to extend from an existing config class, then all those problems are solved as well. But it's like I'm hesitant to do that. This approach feels a little more clean to me, but I'm on the fence now because you're asking a good question, and I'm project cache, blah blah blah, clearing caches. I need to add core config cache over here. Config cache. This is pretty slow, but yeah, it's all because I have all my caching disabled here. .env. Let's go. Discovery cache is true, but cache is false, so this is just ignored. Let's make cache null. Yeah, this is better. I mean, the abstract classes could provide default values, and editing the final config would be more ergonomic. Yeah, but you know, you want this is something different than Laravel. Like Laravel publishes all its config files within the project, and that's something we don't want to do. So we cannot have abstract classes, but that's okay. It's just a detail. But like the framework provided config files should be like really instantiated unless the user provides another alternative, right? But it's a really good train of thought. Let's see here. We need to think about it some more. Let's do it like this, and then that's over here. And now we need to change the config page as well. Config. No, container. It's over here, right? Okay, so no, that's the wrong chapter here. That was the internal one. Okay, so as mentioned, configuration is represented by objects in Tempest. Tempest provides many configuration classes for you, although the framework is designed to use them as little as possible. Whenever you need fine-grained control over part of the framework's config, you can create you can override Tempest's default config by creating a .config.php file anywhere in your project. Such a config.php file should return an object, a config object. One or more config PHP files anywhere in your project. Such a config should return one each. Let's phrase like this: config.php file should return one config object. Here's an example: app.config.php. Project level configuration files will be discovered automatically and will override Tempest's default config. In this example, the default database config object will be overwritten by your custom one using MySQL instead of SQLite and retrieving its credentials from. Okay, that makes sense. I think that's good enough, right? I hope so. I hope that makes sense. We can always improve it. Maybe I need to mention config cache as well. Config cache. Let's actually copy from view.md cache. View caching. Config config files are cached by Tempest. You can read more about them, about caching in the dedicated chapter. And then I need to copy this link. Enable disable config cache with the let's see here, config cache, and then this should be, I don't have like env support in my highlighter yet. What is highlight property with the config cache environment variable. Okay, that's good. Going into stand-up, be right back. Nice. Have a good time, Yogarine. With the stand-up, the daily stand-up's nice. I actually did a daily stand-up for Tempest a couple of days ago. So yeah, on, where was that? We were talking about, I don't know already. Oh, over here. We were talking about milestones and stuff like that. I was mostly ignored by the people I wanted input from. That's our daily stand-ups. Daily stand-up for in 45 minutes for Tragets. Yeah, it's the morning. Do you think they are actually like useful every day? Like weekly stand-ups I can get behind. I did daily stand-ups for a long time as well, but I don't know. Probably depends a little bit on the project as well, but I'm not entirely convinced. Okay, so that's the docs. Let's run Composer QA one more time. I'm wondering about tests as well, but this is difficult to test. How should I test it? Well, there's a problem there. Yeah, but that's let's see what's happening here. Print. Which lines were printed? No. Yeah. No, I understand. Hang on. Let's see. Print. Yeah, this is config cache. I should just do it like this. Okay, so that's good. That's all good. And then over here, config cache. Okay. Well, I guess that's as good as it gets for now. Useful for keeping up to date with the team and discuss blockers, etc. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but really, do you need to do that every day? That's what I'm mostly a little bit skeptical about. Let's just commit all of this. Tests aren't working on Tempest app, in case you haven't seen my bug report. I haven't, no. Yeah, okay. I need to look at that. Oh, depends on the project, like you said. With stand-ups, right? Yeah, might be. Let's see. Okay, so now we have to wait for QA once again, but then I think I'm actually going to deploy the docs already. Hang on, do I need to update the docs? Config. Yeah, this is a pretty important one. Hello there, but I cannot pronounce that name. I'm sorry, in YouTube. Yeah, that's too difficult for me, but glad you're here, YouTube person. I'm actually gonna wait to publish the docs until I've merged this so that I can, oh no. Hang on. Didn't I just fix this? Is this on Windows? No, Ubuntu. Yeah, so, huh? You know, we could do it like this. Easy fix. Didn't really matter anyway, so let's see. Config, discovery, and caching. I'm gonna rename it like this. Okay, now we have to wait for QA again. So, how is everybody doing? No, maybe I should take this time to discuss milestones here, because we're working towards Alpha 3 now. And well, there are still a couple of things open for that, but it's clear to me that it's gonna take a bit longer than planned. So Aiden is working on the file system still. I still want to work on async commands like Horizon, you know, Laravel Horizon kind of, but probably CLI only. I don't think this is gonna happen for Alpha 3. It's gonna have to wait another month. Discovery cache improvements. Oh, this is such a... I wanted to do a live stream yesterday. And then because I wanted to work on discovery cache. And then I discovered I had some meetings, so I couldn't live stream. But then right before the meeting, I was just going through the code because I had a plan in mind. And then I realized what I had in mind is not gonna work, and it's gonna require a huge refactor to make, yes, to like fix what I want to fix. It's possible, but it's gonna be complex. So yeah, discovery cache. And then make commands, we're looking into those. Those are almost finished, so that's good. Well, I say almost finished, but we're working on it, right? Discovery cache is really gonna... I want to talk about it once. Oh no. Something failed. But this is the error I can ignore. This is some kind of timeout error on GitHub Actions. So I'm gonna ignore that. Okay, like this is good. Let's go to packages and no, I know I need to hang on. Personal. Let's see here, packages. I need to just press the update button basically. So okay, that's that. And now I can update the docs as well. Composer up. Yeah, I guess it's 580. Go to main. Yeah, okay, good. So let's add all of this and push and then deploy. And production has like all caching enabled, so that should just work fine, I guess. Actually, I didn't intend to work on config cache here, but it's pretty good addition. Let's check here. This is actually, we don't need this anymore. Let's deploy. We don't need this. Like we were clearing discovery cache twice. So config cache, discovery cache, view cache, and project cache. Nice. This is all pushed, right? Yeah, now we need to deploy. Deploy once again, and then deploy once more. I have a very cool deployment script here. So now it's still clear discovery, but if I deploy once more now the deployment script has been updated. It's really yeah, okay, cool. Simple deployment strategy here. Let's see. So not views, but we did update config over here, mentioned config cache, and updated the config cache chapter as well with the right. Okay, cool. Yeah, nice. Let's talk about discovery. Oh, discovery. Oh, well, maybe let's first mention that this has been changed. Config files are now loaded based on their suffix .config.php, and you can place them anywhere you want now. Discovery cache. Discovery. So here's an idea I had. So partial discovery cache, right? Because when you're doing local development, you don't want, hang on. Oh, well, actually I needed that. Like you don't want discovery cache to be enabled, because whenever you're adding a route, whenever you're adding a view file, a config not, but like anything you like that's being discovered, you need to clear your discovery cache. Did you hear that? Okay. You need to clear your discovery cache, and that kind of sucks, so you don't want it. So you want discovery cache disabled, but discovery cache, it takes a little bit of time to like let's see here, Tempest serve. No, I just have Tempest docs over here. So this is, hang on, this is without discovery cache. 600 milliseconds, and let's make it true now. And yeah, 300 milliseconds, something like that, right? So like 50% faster. And then you can, like, if you enable all caches, it's of course, is it a lot faster actually? Yeah, a little bit. Huh. I expected it to be there to like have bigger impact. But anyway, the thing is with discovery cache, okay, we're looping over all these files here, and we always have to do that in development. But we're also looping over all vendor files, and like if you Tempest discovery status here, like okay, here's our app folder. That's the thing we cannot really ignore. But all of these, and like in the future third-party packages for Tempest, they should not, like they don't change. So you could cache these, and it would give a pretty big performance boost for free. And you should only then clear discovery cache whenever you're doing a composer install or update, which doesn't happen all that much. Great idea, right? The problem is, well, the problem is how discovery currently is implemented. Let me go to my partial discovery cache branch here, and let me actually merge main, update main, and then do the merge. Okay. Okay, so previously when discovery cache was restored, right? What we did was just was basically this. Hang on. So discovery cache, whenever a discovery class is cached, it returns a serialized payload, right? Depending on the discovery cache, it returns like whatever. In this case, it returns view components because this is the view component discovery. And so when you, this shouldn't be called handlers actually. So, and when you restore discovery from cache, so that means not looping over any files, just loading the cache, then you unserialize that payload and set the config file, the config entry here. But that doesn't work if you want to do like partial discovery cache, because like some parts, some view components may be loaded from cache, and other view components may be loaded like in real time. So you need to change your, actually, now that I'm saying it, maybe it's not a problem. So this is the change I did, right? So instead of like overwriting all view components, I like merge the cached data into the existing one. But this leads to this just leads to infinite recursion. Like I can show that. Yeah, nothing happens because it's like yeah, it's just infinitely filling these arrays basically. That's what's happening under the hood. But maybe we don't even need to do that because caching happens first. So if you have like a partial cache and then afterwards you discover some more classes, we're just gonna add them. We're gonna append them to the cache. So maybe I don't need to do this actually, and maybe there's a solution to my problem without me realizing it. I need to think about it some more. But yeah, okay. Thanks for giving me hope there. Everyone's just silent in chat, but thanks for allowing me to rubber duck with you. And this might actually be doable now. Okay, cool. What I'm gonna do though is gonna end the stream here because I made some progress. I did what I wanted to do. And now I need to think some more about discovery, and actually have some other things to do as well today. So, yeah, appreciate all of you being here once again. And don't forget to leave your like, subscribe, follow. You know what to do. And yeah, if you want to help out with Tempest, you know where to go. tempestphp.com. It's really great. Over 200 members now. So yeah, we're doing things here. Okay. So have a good day, have a productive day with all your daily stand-ups, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye bye.